Thundercats. Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. I
Yes,
love it.
sir.
Oh my goodness, guys. This is crazy. Guys, welcome to Thundercats Lair.
What's up,
I am
everybody?
Mega J Retro, and this, of course, is my good friend JP
JP,
of
what's
Thundercats
up?
Classics, guys. Holy crap. Man, it's been one crazy week, JP. Oh my goodness.
Yes,
How have you been, brother? What have you been up to, my friend?
dude. Just like freaking out over this awesome, momentum with Multuniverse and seeing all the love and the support that the campaign is getting. It's really awesome to see that and to look forward to the venue next year. And obviously, in my head, I just can't stop but think, what goodies we could do for the Thundercats community of the show as well. So it's really exciting, man. And
Yeah, brother. Go,
aside
go.
from that, just like Thundercats toys and news, a lot of cool stuff coming. I got some stuff coming from Super 7 that should be here in the next few days. So excited about that as well.
That is excellent, brother. And yes, we're we've been on this train together, brother. Me, you, me, Carlos. A lot of people trying to get this thing off the ground, but yeah, we are trying to organize a Master Universe convention in California in 2026. But it's also going to have Thundercats. It's going to have Silverhawks. It's going to have a lot of 80s properties connected to it. And we are very excited about the possibilities of what's happening and the response the community's been giving us. But we'll get to that a little later in the show. Right now, we are here. We are the Thundercats Lair, guys.
Yes.
And if you're joining us from either Mega Retro or any other locations, please head over to Thundercats Lair on YouTube. We are trying to make this into a community where Thundercats fans can really come together and enjoy. Let's remove that. And enjoy the Thundercats as it's meant to be on YouTube. We're trying to get as many people interested in a lot of things that we're talking about here, and we've covered a lot of different topics over the last couple of months. Really, JP, it's been kind of crazy how much stuff we've actually. I mean, look, we've got a whole host of different episodes. Like replicas, toys, comics. You know what I mean? Shoes, right? Different types of apparel, unboxings, right? We talk about the Thundercats movie, which might be coming up. And of course, we do have to talk about the fact that Thundercats classics, guys. Let's give. Wrong one. Let's give. Where'd it go? Hold on, I'm on the wrong page. Sorry, guys. Let's give our good friend JP a round of applause. 103,000 followers, everybody! Holy crap! What an incredible milestone! Congratulations, JP. As I understand it, you're going to be trying to get some celebrations going with this. Can you tell us a little bit more about how we're going to celebrate 103,000 followers on Instagram, brother? How are we going to do this?
Yeah, absolutely. So still kind of figuring out the logistics of it, but I have reached out to several different companies, including Super 7, Dynamite Comics, and we're working on getting a nice little group of prizes that we can give away to celebrate this momentous milestone, right? And it's just super exciting to be helming this project, helm this Instagram account, and just to share the worldwide love that there is for the fandom. Just to mention a few people, we have people such as Taboo from the Black Eyed Peas, which is a Thundercats fan. We have Anderson Silva, the MMA fighter, which follows my account, and we talk once in a while. So it's just Thundercats is a phenomenon, and it's incredible the amount of people that love this IP and this cartoon, and how near and dear this animated series and toy line is to so many people, man.
Absolutely, and it's just been so. It's touched so many different people in so many different ways, but not just here in North America though. JP, it's a worldwide phenomenon.
Worldwide phenomenon, absolutely.
Worldwide phenomenon, and there are a ton of people in South America. There's a ton of people from Europe, and people who have been celebrating this all over the world. As a matter of fact, we did cover a story not too long ago where the Thundercats the Thundercats full size replica is actually making its way to Europe first. It's people are actually receiving this right now in Europe, and we actually got to see the packaging design, which is very LJN inspired.
Yes.
From that packaging. And the funny thing is about that, a lot of people from Europe don't really recognize it as well as they would from back in the day, because I think it was very different, the packaging in Europe, if my memory serves. But yeah, it's an incredibly worldwide phenomenon, and it touches a lot of us as we were growing up. As you and I've touched on it a bunch of times, right? I remember coming home and turning the TV on for the first time, and all of a sudden I'm like expecting to see Transformers, but instead, WUTV Buffalo 29, they decided to do this weird thing called Exodus, and I was like, "What the heck is Exodus?" Right? And of course, even before that, the first thing I saw, which just absolutely blew my mind, was this crazy, guy freaking calling down the power of Thundera. And yeah, man, I mean, this was just like, sorry. This whole, no, we got to do this right. Seriously, when I turn on the TV and all of a sudden it literally just this is the first thing I was waiting for. I was waiting for the Transformers intro to run. You know what I mean? I was waiting for the Transformers intro to run, but instead I got this. I was blown away. My mind just could not understand what was going on. Who is this guy? What is he talking about? What's he doing?
Thundercats.
He literally blew my mind, and it was that kind of thing that just kept me as a lifelong Thundercats for life. Thundercats for life. And this is coming from a guy who is a lifelong Master Universe fan, but that really that really set the tone for what I was going to be watching for the rest of for that year. You know what I mean? It was just mind blowing to me, right? And then you know what? But Exodus. Let's talk about a little bit about Exodus, because that show also had moments which literally blew my mind. As a matter of fact, we're going to be talking a little bit today about the fact that Thundercats was ahead of its time, brother. Thundercats was way ahead of its time.
Oh, yeah.
It was talking about a lot of different themes, you know what I mean? Themes which really kids probably can't understand. I think we should talk. I think Exodus the episode of Exodus by itself was one heavy episode. It was really, really heavy. But before we get to that, JP, let's say hi to everybody who's in the chat. Paul Morales is in the chat. What's going on, Paul?
Paul Morales? What's going on, buddy?
Good to see you, brother. Clint Jorgensen. Hello, if you're in the chat.
Hello.
Good to see you, Clint. D Sanchez, what's going on, bro? Good to see you. Congratulations, JP. Yes, JP, by the way. JP.
Thank you, D Sanchez. Appreciate it.
Not JB, that would be me. It's JP. Good to see you, D. No lines. Addict to the plastic crack. Incredible line. One of my favorites. Absolutely, bro. And you are in the UK. See, brother, you know what?
Awesome.
You're getting the sword first, right? Are you finding it from Trick or Treat Studios? Dude, go check your local Smiths. Go check your local, toy shops, because that Thundercat sword, man, the sword of omens, brother. Thundercats was among the pilot was incredible. Yes, the pilot is incredible. And we're going to talk about the pilot. And I love the new series. Absolutely. We really, JP, we need somebody to pick that line up. We need somebody to pick up the final season for Thundercats 2009, right? 2009? Yeah, 2009. Mm-hmm. We really need somebody to pick that one up. We need it to be finished. Ryan Ventek, as a kid, I had no idea why they were in the buff. We're going to talk about that. All's good, bros. Yes, thank you, brother. Thank you. And Ryan Ventek, someone's working hard on the farming in the chat. Okay, I don't know what that means. What's farming? I don't get it. Thank you, brother. Holy crap! We have a new member here at Thundercats Lair. Thank you, brother. No new lines. Addicted to plastic crap. Plastic crack. Thank you, brother. Appreciate that. Wow, that's awesome. Huge shout out to our new member. That's incredible. Thank you so much, brother. Okay, so JP, let's let's take the Wayback Machine all the way back to like 1980, 85, right?
Yes.
Am I right? 1985. Man, 40 years ago this year, 1985, a small cartoon hit the airwaves and just basically blew the freaking mind, blew the collective minds of children everywhere across the United States. This cartoon was created by Rankin and Bass Studios, the same studio which brought you those wonderful holiday cartoons like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, Frosty the Snowman, The Adventures of Santa Claus, and they even did shows like The New Adventures of Pinocchio, which a lot of people just don't know what the hell I'm talking about. But yeah, they did all those wonderful shows, and they decided to dip their toe into something even more crazy, which was like children's syndicated television. And when they did that, they started off with a little cartoon called Thundercats, and the first episode was Exodus. And I got to tell you, man, Exodus was pretty freaking crazy, man. Exodus was
pretty excellent.
What was insane, dude, insane. If you don't, here's the thing about Exodus, okay? If you watch one episode out of Thundercats, you have to watch Exodus. Exodus sets up the entire series from front to back, and it just does it in this fashion where you really don't know what's going to happen. You know what I mean? Like it starts off with, you know what, actually, let me pull this up. Let me ask you a question though while I'm pulling this up, JP. What like were you watching Exodus first, or did you watch another episode when you first started watching Thundercats?
I mean, honestly, you know, I was just like a young little kid, man. I don't recall if I saw the pilot first or if I just started watching from a specific random episode. I can't recall the exact, you know, first episode that I saw, but all I know is that I have many a fond memories sitting down in front of the TV, watching Thundercats, eating Captain Crunch. That was my zen as a child. I loved watching Thundercats, eating cereal. You know, I always look forward to that. And, you know, I don't know if in Canada they had that, but back in my day, we had what we look forward to, which was Saturday morning cartoons, man.
Yeah, of course.
That
we
was
had Saturday morning cartoons.
that was a golden era, man. You know,
that was the day, man. That was the
yeah, dude. So I recall those things. I wish there are some people that have that photographic memory. It was like, I remember the shirt I was wearing, and I was wearing my brown. I wish, man, but I do know for a fact that I was watching, you know, Thundercats religiously. That was like my jam. I love the cartoon. It was absolutely awesome, man.
Brother, it's one of those things, right, where we really, like, as children, right, we have this overexcited sense of memory, right? But as adults, we tend to remember these things differently. So
Yeah.
let's take this opportunity, guys. Let's take this opportunity to take a look and examine a few things about Exodus that really were kind of shocking, but at the same time, the themes. I think the themes are actually more in line with what people today actually have to deal with in a lot of ways, JP. And that's what I mean by it was actually ahead of its time, like well ahead of its time. I'm trying to bring up. There it is. No, where is it? Okay, hold on. Why is it not bringing up my application? That's odd. Hold on. Yeah, here we go. Okay. So, first of all, as I said, the intro, of course, is one of the most iconic intros of all time. You know, it really is hearkening to the 80s with, you know, the transitions. I think it still is to this day, in my opinion, anyway, JP, one of the greatest intros I've ever seen in cartoons. Like,
no doubt.
Scene to scene to scene. It was just high energy, high, you know, like this, just like Panthro to Tigra, Tigra to Chitara, Chitara to, you know, the kittens to, you know, this calling of the Thundercats, and then Jaga just coming out. It was just great. It was this crazy thing. It was this crazy thing.
Insane.
And I never get tired of the intro because it just energizes me ever so much. And then you see the mutants just being terrified. But then, why are they terrified? Are they terrified because of the Thundercats, or are they terrified because Mum-Ra is, transforming into Mum-Ra, the ever-living? Like, what is happening, JP? What is happening? This is the kind of thing that really, just as a kid, like I said, sitting down for the very first time, looking at this intro, I'm like, what the hell is going on? Like, seriously, I was absolutely blown away. I was blown away. And then, of course, here comes the intro. Lionel's dodging lightning. He's freaking like just going acrobatics. And like, I was like, what is this? What is going on? And all of a sudden, bang, Thundercats, right? Like this logo. I could barely read this logo. I'm not going to lie to you. This is like, if you really think about this logo, it's one of the worst logos for kids. Because I was not that old. I was okay. I could read and I was having fun, but I could barely read this freaking logo, man.
Yeah, no.
If it wasn't for the fact that somebody said Thundercats, I was like, oh, okay. That's what that says, Thundercats. That's cool. And then, of course, we get to the title crawl of Exodus. And one thing about this freaking title scene, as a kid, did it frighten you? Because I remember that ominous music. I was like, what?
Yeah.
It was a frightening. And then, of course, you see Exodus, right? Again, so I'm Roman Catholic, right? So as a kid, right, from the Bible, Exodus has a very strong meaning to you. You know what I mean? Exodus is a big thing. Exodus is huge. So understanding that word, immediately the connotation is just crazy. And then you see the very first scene and the very first words coming out of Panthero's mouth is. And this is what's really crazy. The very first words out of Panthero's mouth are just crazy. You see this because it's done, Jaga, right? And they're literally escaping their planet. You know what I mean? And then you see the royals, right? The royals, the royal. I don't know if they're a family, but I think that they're the nobles of the court, right? Like each one of them represents a certain nobility in the Thundercats in the hierarchy. You know what I mean? Jaga is, of course, a jaguar. Tigra is, of course, part of the tiger clan. Chitara is the cheetah clan. What's it called? Panthro is the panther clan. And Wily Kit and Wily Cat are probably related to Linkso. You know what I mean? The actual smaller cats. You know what I mean? So it's fascinating seeing this as a kid and just coming to the terms with the idea that they're losing their planet. You know what I mean? I'm an immigrant, JP. My parents brought me here to Canada when I was very, very little. Are you a first generation or second generation American?
I was born here in the United States.
Yeah. So, but obviously you have relatives.
My parents are all immigrants. Yeah.
Yeah. So they can relate. They can understand the idea of leaving your home and having to come and start a new life at a different place.
Absolutely.
So, for me as an immigrant, this really hit me hard because, I related to this type of idea where, we were coming to a new place and we were losing our home. It's not obviously I didn't lose my home, but I left a lot of people behind. You know what I mean? In the Philippines, right?
Yeah.
So here we meet for the first time the nobles of the Thundercats, Tigra, Chitara, Panthro, and immediately as a kid. Immediately as a kid, I was like, something's going on. My brain could not process what was actually happening here. I'm like, why is it the oldest guy has clothes on and the other people have nothing on? Like, essentially, like really, Tigra is completely in the buff. Have you noticed that? Tigra is 100% in the buff. Like, that is crazy. I think what's it called? Panthro has like shorts on and a belt. Chitara has shorts on and a belt. The kids are completely in the buff too. They're all wearing boots though. That always kind of freaked me out. Lion-O, when we first meet Lion-O, right here, he's being awoken by Chitara. Wow, what a way to wake up. As a kid, what were your thoughts? What were your thoughts when you were watching this episode, JP? I was complete. I was like, what's going on? Right?
Yeah. It's definitely a shocker. It's like, wait a minute, what are those?
What are they doing? Right? It was this thing. But you know what? As a kid too, I really didn't think about it too much. I saw them; they were all nudes, and I'm like, okay, that's weird. That's actually how I thought. I thought that's weird, right? Jonathan, what's going on, brother? Hedgehog Action, guys. If you haven't already, please subscribe to Hedgehog Action. He's on another amazing toy tuber. He talks toys all day long. Definitely give him a follow, and tell him that the Thundercats Lair sent you. Good to see you, Jonathan. Skeletor, Chitara in the buff.
Do it in the Skeletor voice. Rankin, Chitara.
What's up, Skeletor? Good to see you, brother. But yeah, this is the type of thing which was, and of course she's not. It's hard to see, but obviously the animators did what they do. But I do wonder what drove Leonard Starr to write this episode the way he did. And you can see the really weird part is that they're all wearing boots. You know what I mean? They're all wearing freaking boots. But Lionel essentially is in the buff. You know what I mean? He literally is just, oh my God, freaking
I
crazy.
have a theory with that. I think that because they're meant to go into time capsules, their clothing, because they may grow or whatever, or maybe their clothing deteriorates in the time capsules.
That's an interesting theory, but unfortunately, it doesn't really. It's not like there's like I think we could debate that for sure. But the problem is, and we saw actually what happens to Lionel's clothes, right?
Yeah.
But there's the problem. Your theory would have held water, but he gave the clothes to them before they go in the capsule.
Yeah, that's
right.
true.
And the thing is, he actually does have a line here, which pretty much says it all. And let's I don't know if the audio's on here, but really, Jaga actually explains. We'll get to that scene right now, but essentially, and here, this is a great scene right here. This is a great scene. This is where a young Lord of the Line, a young Lord of the Thundercats. My God, what happened there? A young Lord of the Thundercats has to come to the realization that his home is gone. And here's what I don't understand. Did they not tell him what was happening? Did they not tell him that, we're escaping this planet? Right? Like,
yeah, they probably didn't because he left Colossus behind, so they were probably shielding him from the truth until he was in his safety was secured.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. So here we actually do see that Jaga actually directs Lino to watch the view screen. That is just a powerful moment right there. Yeah. Literally just watching a planet, first of all, be destroyed. And then having your mentor, your guardian say, that was Thundera, the planet we used to call home. It's gone. Superman, this parallels the Superman mythos a lot. You know what I mean? This parallels the Superman mythos in so much that, the planet's destroyed. His entire way of life is gone. But he was a baby. Right? Yeah. He had no understanding about what it was to lose his home. Right? He essentially was adopted here on Earth. So for the most part, if Mom and Pa Kent hadn't actually told him the truth, he would never have known that he's an alien. You know what I mean? Yeah. Whereas Lino has always grown up knowing that he is a refugee, that he has lost his home, and quite possibly lost all of his people. You know what I mean? Like that. Right. That is a heavy story to tell somebody. You know what I mean? As a kid. And I remember watching this. I'm like, what is this guy gonna do? He's. And then we find out that he actually is the Lord of the Thundercats. He will inherit the. He will inherit the burden, right, of leading his people. After and trying to rebuild his society, right? And I do remember though, as a kid, I didn't care about any of that. I didn't care about any of that.
No, JP. Of course.
I was just like, cool, it just exploded. That is so neat, right? And I was like, oh my gosh, right? And why are they naked? That was actually what I was really thinking about.
Absolutely. Rewatching these things now as adults, it puts things in a completely different perspective, like you're mentioning, the whole comparison of, being a refugee and looking at it in that light. But yeah, as children, we were innocent, but it is very interesting that in this time, such a strong and powerful message was being delivered via this cartoon, especially the pilot episode. So, yeah, I wonder, the writers and stuff, like what inspired them to make the intro of this series so shocking. You know what I mean? So powerful.
Yeah, and the thing is that, and I think that not that there was any nefarious concept on it, but think about how it resonated with us now as adults. You know what I
Right.
mean? That we could finally understand it. I remember searching out Thundercats when I was in college because I was like, you know what? I remember this cartoon. You know, because I was getting interested in different types of things. You know, baseball. Anime. I was still watching anime. Actually, anime brought me back to Thundercats because I remember watching anime and seeing anime for the first time, and I was like, wait a second, I watched something like this when I was a kid. You know what I mean? Because this was actually animated in Japan. You know what I mean? If you look at the credits, Kubo and much of the original animators were all from Japan, right? There's a whole history behind that. You know, you and I should take a deep dive history into the Rankin and Bass studios and how they actually began. Did you know that Rankin and Bass was actually 90% of their entire operation was in Japan?
Yeah, no, I mean, you could see most of the stuff that they did. It was, you look at Thundercats, and aside from the Rankin Bass stuff, but you look at Thundercats Silverhawks and Tiger Sharks, and Thundercats is the most vivid and the most powerful animation that was out there in the U.S. in that time. Master of the Universe was very iconic, but it was very soft. It had, a very colorful palette. It was very soft. It was very whimsical. Even the villains were like cross-eyed, or they were like twiddly dee, twiddly dum kind of characters. In Thundercats, Mumra is a badass.
Oh,
Like,
Mumra is an evil. He is the epitome of evil.
yeah,
Like when you see Mumra for the first time, I crap my pants. I'm not even sure. I literally crap my pants. It was crazy.
dude, yeah. So it was like very dark. When you would see the nefarious scenes, like Mumra's fortress and stuff like that, very dark, very loomy. It was definitely not the typical animation that was being shown in any other show in the 80s.
Just crazy. And again, it was dealing with these really deep themes, these dark, really dark themes in a lot of ways. There's actually so not to get too sidetracked, but there is an episode in the show where they capture Tigra, the mutants capture Tigra, and they strap him to the four winds. I don't know if you remember that episode, JP.
Yeah.
But they strapped him to a device called the Four Winds.
Yep.
And just before they strap him to it, they put a straw dummy on the four winds, strap its arms and legs down on the four winds. Now it's an effigy. It's got no it's a training dummy, right? It's got nothing, it's got no head. It's got nothing. But they strap it down to the freaking four winds, and then they release the four winds. And what happens to the freaking dummy? It splits in four. And then Slime goes on to tell Tigra that's why it's called the Four Winds, right? Literally, like ripping. And then they strap him down to the damn thing. Yeah. They strap him down to the damn thing. They put a crystal timer on the freaking thing and said, once the sun hits this timer, it will activate the Four Winds. It's like, you guys are some.
We weren't playing around, man.
You guys are some sick mofos. You guys are some sick mofos. Oh my god! But as a kid, did I give it? I said, "Wow, that's so cool." I didn't know any better.
Yeah, no, of course.
I did feel. I did, but it gave you this sense of anticipation. It gave you the sense of dread that oh my god, Tiger's gonna get hurt, not killed, hurt. You know what I mean? Like it was just one of those things. But yeah, man, they dealt with some crazy dark themes.
For sure.
They dealt with some crazy stuff. Rainmaker Cities 3574. Don't want to interrupt. I'm going to ask Sword of Omens. Wait for Trick or Treat Studios Factory Entertainment or Factory Entertainment.
Trick or Treat.
I would go Trick or Treat. I'm right on board with JP.
Factory Entertainment is more of a replica. It's $500, I believe.
Yeah.
And it's obviously it's a beautiful piece.
It is,
but I guess it depends. Trick or Treat is $60.
Okay. I'll say it this way: if you're looking for cartoon accuracy, go with Trick or Treat
Trick or Treat.
because it's got way more detail. They're able to do way more detail because of. I'll be generous here. They're way more. They're way more. They're able to do way more detail because it's plastic and it lights up. The $500 replica is just a beautiful sword which you can hang on your wall and appreciate as a piece of artwork. But this one, you can swing it around, you can play with it, and you're not going to cry if someone actually cracks it. You can go out and buy another one. Yeah. You know what I'm trying to say? The other one is very much, something you put on your wall, something you admire, right? But this one is very, and it's very heavy. This one is like super light. Husband's Wolverine. This was way before people wanted to be furries. We are not comparing Thundercats to furries, guys. However, our next scene would basically take that to the next level. So talking about everything that happened here. So Lion-O gets told that he will inherit the legacy of the Thundercats as their future leader. And we don't even know about Claudius at this point. At this point, I figured that Jaga was his dad. You know what I mean? Like, I thought Jaga was his father. But here he tells him that he won't be alone. The nobles who are gathered here will help to raise you and teach you the ways and our customs for the Thundercats. Panthro, Chitara, Tigra, even Wily Cat and Wily Kit. Right now he gathers everybody. Now he tells him about his heritage, and I thought this was where the mystical part of Thundercats comes into play, and that's really cool. And I find it hilarious that nobody talks about Snarf. That always kind of got me. And Snarf is basically no one mentions poor old Snarf. Snarf. that was always a fun little thing for me, But he is a loyal servant. That's the whole point. Yeah. Now they show him, and this got me, JP. This is the moment where I realized that this is the greatest sword in pop culture lore. You know what I mean? Like the Sword of Power, the power swords of He-Man and She-Ra, they're one thing, but the Sword of Omens is OP to the nth freaking degree, man. This thing is way too overpowered. This thing is like God level type of God level type of powers, man. This thing is freaking ridiculous. It's freaking alive. This thing is alive, okay? And then we first catch a glimpse of the freaking sword of Omens, man. Like there it is, the pedestal. And huge shout out to Super 7. Massive props to Super 7 for making this pedestal a reality. Yes. You know what I mean? Because JP actually has, and myself too, everybody has recently picked up, who if you pre-ordered it, Young Lion-O with the pedestal, and it is absolutely gorgeous. Do you have it handy by any chance, JP?
I don't have it with me right now, but I did, as a matter of fact, this week. Yeah, I got around to opening Claudius.
Yes, I saw that on your channel.
Yeah, I took some pictures of Claudius with Young Lion-O, and yeah, they look so good together. Because I was thinking, like, how do I display these? And I think they're perfect together like that.
It really is a shame. I'm hard pressed to remember. Did they ever have an episode where the two of them were actually father and son together? Like not as like Lion-O, Lord of the Thundercats.
Oh no, right? No, nothing as far as like a flashback of a young Lion-O. Yeah. It's only when Lion-O traveled back in time and met his father, and his father Claudius didn't recognize him because he's like, my son is this little kid.
Exactly. It's crazy. And then, of course, Lion-O, having learned of his heritage, realizes that, you know what? Okay, this is mine. I can hold on to it. But the damn thing literally grows in his hand, like nearly cuts his head off. It nearly cut his head off. Eh? I don't know if anybody recognized that. The damn thing almost cuts his head off. It's crazy.
It's got a mind of its own, man.
And of course, he's he's too young. Yeah, he's not strong enough to really pick this thing up. And Jaga tells him that it actually is alive, right? It has a sentience of its own. And the eye sleeps until needed, right? It was a great, wonderful a depiction of what this is. Then the lore starts talking about how the apertures will give you sight beyond sight. Just all this mystics and the whole heritage of the Thundercats Freaking Leonard Starr, man, what the heck? He was on point. This guy was crazy. This guy was absolutely nuts. Like, how do you dream of this stuff, man? Seriously. And I really appreciate this whole moment where he can't lift up the sword and Jaga just like, nonchalantly, oh, I can pick it up, and it's crazy. But then he calls for the nobles to enter the room, and this is where again we're just gonna have this little moment here where they're all lined up, and basically this is the famous scene right here. This is the actual famous scene that all of us as adults, right? And this is the thing: when you're an adult, things change, right? You grow up, you understand a little bit more about how this is. But literally, everybody at least has some sort of clothes on or whatever. But Tiger is absolutely freaking buff. He's got no.
If you think about it, they all have that underwear line. The thing is, if you look with Tigra, because of the stripes, it kind of looks like he doesn't. But they're basically all naked, with the exception of Chitara and Panther wearing belts.
Yes, I know. It is crazy. But they're all wearing boots. They all wear freaking boots.
Yeah, because you can't have bare feet. God help you.
Tiger's got bare feet.
How dare you show your feet?
Tiger's got bare feet. He's got he's got this just a sling. It just kind of his boot actually just slings on his
You're right.
on his thing, right? He needs that extra grip. But as a kid, I didn't care. This was just a really cool cartoon. And then we find that this is the famous scene. This is the famous scene where he tells them, on our planet Thundera, you needed no protective clothing to protect you against the elements. And I'm like, what the hell? Later on when we see Thundera, it is a freaking harsh planet, man. It is a crazy planet. But apparently on Thundera, they don't need clothes. So whatever. Yeah. And then basically he tells them. So this is actually a cutscene from the new DVD. They actually retconned this, right? Okay. I don't realize this. They retconned this scene from the newest DVDs. So here, Jaga actually says that the Sword of Omens was a secret known only to me. They retconned this because obviously in the series, everybody knows what the sword can do. Everybody knows what the sword is capable of. But they never actually say it's legend. It said legends say that the sword can do this. Legends say that the sword can do that. But they never bothered with that. They just kept saying, "Oh, the Sword of Thunder can do this. The Sword of Thunder," and it's crazy, right? But here, scene, Jaga tells them that it was a secret only known to him, and then Tiger. Actually, there it is. See, it's not there. This is the DVD scene. See, right here, Tigra is actually supposed to question Jaga and say the Sword of Omens, but that's a legend, a myth. But this was actually cut from the DVD. You can see it right there. The Tiger does not have that moment, right? So then Jaga bestows upon them the clothes. And this is actually why in the Super 7 edition, he actually comes with this little cloak, right? The magic cloak, which he just starts throwing it here and there, and they're all of a sudden they have clothes on, right? And this was truly the moment you realize, Jesus, they are naked.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? As a kid, you actually do realize, oh my God, they actually are not wearing any freaking clothes, right? Because then she's got her jumper, right? Chitara's got her jumper. Here it is. Chitara's got her jumper, right? Then all of a sudden, Tigra's got his full clothes, and then Panthero's got his straps. Panthero has always been my favorite in terms of overall design. The spikes on his shoulders, the colors of the skin and his uniform, absolutely crazy. And then they're attacked by the mutants for the first time, which I thought was crazy. What really got me here, and I didn't really understand it as a kid though, JP, they were murdering Thunderians in this scene. Like they're like these ships are freaking exploding, right? Like they're taking prisoners, bro. They are freaking killing these Thunderian refugees. Can you freaking believe that? Like,
that's crazy.
As an adult, you start understanding these themes, right? But as a kid, you sort of just take it as, well, those are just piloted ships or whatever. Because Panther doesn't say that we're losing our people. We're losing our ships. They're shooting our ships, right? But if you really dig down deep and you really start understanding what's actually going on, they are murdering freaking Thunderians, bro.
Yeah.
It was freaking crazy. Let's take a break and talk and see a lot of people in the chat. Thank you guys so much for joining us.
Yeah.
100.
The chat is popping. We got a lot of people here.
It's going crazy. When I was a kid, I kind of saw that their naked versions of them as being proto Thundercats, not yet ready. They would be complete with the uniforms that gave them personality. That's an interesting way of looking at it. That is an interesting word.
Protocats.
Protocats. Huspa. Huspas. Technically, the alien cat people invaded the planet. From Mumra's perspective, he's just defending his home. Interesting. And he actually, you know what? It is interesting because he sort of does allude to that, right? He sort of alludes that before there was time here, I was here. Before, he's talking about how he is the rightful, like, actually, Pumra has this entire speech, right? He has this entire speech like, you are invading my home, right? He talks about that.
Mm-hmm.
That's fascinating, actually. Looking at it from that perspective, look at that. There's another adult moment, right? Freaking crazy.
And I got to mention, I've been doing some catching up with the new Thundercats comic series, and that's a very interesting narrative. I think Declan Shelby did a really, really cool take on the lore and the story. He explores a lot of like pre-animated series stuff, like what happened on Thundera before it was destroyed. There's a lot of side stories though. There's like a Chitara book. There's Thundercats Lost. There's going to be a new Panthro book. So it's kind of hard to keep up, especially if you're not one of these like comic book aficionados that goes to the store every Wednesday. I don't. So, the folks at Dynamite Comics were super gracious to send me digital review copies, and I've been able to read through all the way to the current issue 19. And I'm actually trying to get Drew Moss to come on with us so we can talk about, this voyage that he's had doing the illustrations for this new Thundercats comic book. But have you had a chance to check out the comics, Jay?
So I wish I had the time, bro. Like this firsthand. I'm working on tons of projects right now. I'm working on a project right now for Motuniverse. I'm working on a project here in Canada for Action Figure Comic-Con with my good friend Danny Green. I'm working on a comic book myself, right? So for me, it's all about these finite things that I would love to take a look at the comic books. Actually, our good friend Skeletor, he bought me a comic book. And I flipped through it, but that's the most that I could do. But it was a fascinating story for what I was able to read. Really fascinating story about a mutated mutated Thundercat, and it's funny. And we find out who that mutated Thundercat is. It's crazy. So yes, I mean, I would love to actually get back into the lore of these types of things, but the reality is, no, I haven't had a chance to. Just being honest, I haven't had a chance to.
It's very interesting, and I think we should definitely cover that narrative in those books in a future episode, because it, like I said, it really explores things that it goes way beyond the comics. The cartoons. There is a lot of violence. There is death.
Mhm.
There is romanticism. There's all sorts of, and there's crazy shit where they at times, it got you doubting like what were Jaga's true intentions and stuff like that. So it's a very interesting narrative, interesting storyline. I'm not a huge fan of the looks of the Thundercats in the comic, but I get it. They wanted to do something fresh and new, and for example, Snarf just looks, he's not Snarf to me. He looks like some sort of war beast kind of critter. I don't know. It's just it's not a Snarf to me. But it's a cool storyline. And it's something that we should definitely explore.
Sure.
One of these days.
One of these days we'll take a look. Skeletor. Do you think there's a market for naked Thundercats? Super 7 take notes.
Hell yeah.
So interestingly enough, like JP actually did do. I'm gonna stop the screen for a minute, and he did actually on Thundercats Classics actually has an interesting. And you made this with AI, right,
yes.
JP?
Yeah, that was ChatGPT.
Yeah, so this is ChatGPT's take on the Super 7 Ultimate's take on Thundercats as they are leaving Thundera.
And the interesting thing I'm going to mention is that the fact that there's no Wily kit in there is because ChatGPT has a regulation where they do not
Yeah.
want to portray underage minors.
Correct. And I think that's actually a really good take.
Absolutely.
The if you look at the thumbnail, I was very careful to actually do something about that. So there are sensibilities that we have to take into consideration for today's sensibilities. Today's sensibilities are, because again, like I said, I did just to be sure it wouldn't get taken down. I did a little funny thing there where Snuffer is just photobombing the moment, right? So
excellent.
I just wanted to make sure that is thing, right? Because you never know, right? These things, like as innocent as this cartoon was back in the day, I mean, did you know that here's a fun aside on this? Did you know that the DVDs for Sesame Street actually come with a warning at the beginning of each episode, saying that these episodes were made in the time where our sensibilities were different, and you should take these episodes as such, and might not be suitable for children. Like, it actually says that in every single episode.
I have not seen anything on Sesame Street that's not suitable for children.
No.
As a matter of fact, I'm showing my little one old school Sesame Street episodes from the beginning.
Yeah.
Because I feel that the shows and the content of television programming back then is so much better than what we see nowadays for children.
Yeah, absolutely. No, 100%. I really consider Children's Television Workshop one of the pioneers of excellent children's programming.
100%.
Right. Just like anything else, when you're younger, they might be dumbing it down a little too much, but I think it had the right intentions. I mean, it's crazy.
But yeah, for sure. And just wanted to mention that because we're talking about the possibilities and who would be interested in. And this is a great topic to bring up with our upcoming guest. We're going to have Brian Flynn joining us very soon.
Take a look at this, right? This was 7 years ago, okay? This was 7 years ago, right? And it goes on to say, the original Sesame Street DVDs come with warning that says these early Sesame Street episodes are intended for grown-ups and may not suit the needs of today's preschool child.
Interesting.
Can you believe that? And that, of course, is Reddit. But trust me, here, The Guardian, right? Okay, what? No thank you. So it says right here, Sesame Street not suitable for kids. How sad that a TV show in which grown men read stories to children for no apparent reason no longer seems appropriate. So remember how Luis would have a kid on his lap?
Yes.
Right? Or like, the original grocer, the original grocer, right? He was an old man. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he would like hug the kids. He would grab them by their waists and just bring them and pump them up and stuff like that. Yeah, that is now considered inappropriate, right? And that's actually why like years ago, it was originally said that years ago, and I consider that a travesty myself, right?
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
But anyway, that was just an aside. We weren't talking about that. But I totally understand why ChatGPT has that, and I totally get it. But I find it interesting that the spots ended up on. That's an interesting spot placement.
Yes,
I'm not gonna lie.
Very, very conveniently placed spots.
And that's ChatGPT. That's not.
Yeah. That's not even like top of the line AI.
Too funny, man. Too funny.
Yeah.
All right. Let's take a few more, and then we'll get back to it. Where is it here? I'm gonna move the screen because you just never know how these things go. Okay, so yeah, let's do that. All right, so Hitchcock. When I was a kid, I saw. Oh no, I read that one already. Sorry, guys. Let's try this one here. Maybe Ted Wolfe and his team wanted the audience to think that way, not complete until having the uniforms. Even thinking that they're kind of boring without the. No, I totally get that. I actually believe that that's true, right? Mm-hmm. Because they even sort of explained that they needed protective clothing in this new environment that they'd be living in. So I appreciate that. That's not That's not that didn't escape me. That snarf impression was spot on. We like to have fun here, boys. We like to have fun here. It's all good. Let's see. Anybody else? Okay. Hitchcock. I mean, didn't they have clothes on Thundera, or did they have to dress because of the mutant attack? No, brother. He literally says in the episode, you did not need protective clothing. That's what he said. It's a very clear cut. Hold on. You know what? I'll actually here. At the risk of actually, hold on. Actually, I don't think I can because the application doesn't let me do it. Let me see if I can bring it up as a video file. I don't think I can. Give me 1 second, guys. Let's try this. Let's see if it'll actually work, which I don't think it will. Because this is an MKV, it's probably going to say nope. No, it won't do it. All right. Anyway, trust me. He actually says in the episode that they did not need protective clothing. Okay, Clint Jorgensen. I can't wait for the Thundercats comic crowdfund to ship. Ooh, there's a Thundercats comic that's coming out. That's cool. I didn't know.
It was what do you call it? It's a collected edition of all the Marvel comics, Thundercats vintage comics in a
collection. From Star Comics that was owned by Marvel. I got you.
Exactly.
Yeah. Jadis Teal, what's going on, brother? Good to see you. They should release that box set. Yeah, we're hoping for it. It seems to be coming up. Mother Slug, Mr. Rogers started the line for kids before Sesame Street even aired. Thanks, Mr. Rogers. Yeah, I hear you, brother. Ultra Mag, everything is inappropriate when it comes to men. Okay, easy, bro. Calm down. That's an interesting. I know you're being ironic. I know what you're doing, but man, calm down, okay? Hitchcock. The Robert Bill, for example, provided them food and working force. The Thundercats retribute with protection. Yes, of course. I mean, that's tit for tat, right? Obviously. It's a curious point. It's a curious ploy point for a kids show that the little taste of geopolitics. You know what? I don't think that there was any real intention to put politics into Thundercats. I think it was just trying to show that if you do something nice for somebody, that somebody might do something nice for you. Right, because that's exactly what it is with the Robert Burbles. The Robert Burbles are generous to a fault, but because of the Thundercats' willingness to help them, right? It really was a symbiotic type, a symbiosis type of relationship. Ryan Ventek, but why did Panther get blue bondage gear? Draw your own conclusions there, Ryan. Draw your own conclusions, my friend. Robert Bill, for example, provided them with food, working. Yeah, I read that already. So, guys, let's get back to it. I'm just going to check on something because I'm curious now. Hold on for a sec. Thunder. That's there. Of course, it's not going to come up. Mother Slug. Heads up. If you know or not watching this show, toy guns or any sort of firearms in which in the last 2 weeks, I've seen 4 streamers get shut down because of it. Oh, interesting. All right. We're still broadcasting right now. So I think, JP, can you double check? I'm double checking right now.
Yeah, we're broadcasting.
Yeah, we should be okay. I'm just going to double check. Yeah, I'm live. I can see it right now. So, all right. But yeah, thanks for the heads up, brother. We do appreciate it. We do appreciate it. No new lines. Addicted to Proud to Cry. They should have made one of the Motu X Thundercats cartoon. You never know. You never know. I mean, I don't think they're going to go that far with Mattel, but Super 7 might end up actually doing it. You just never know. Okay, so let's just go through the rest of the episode because I think that we should definitely give this its due. Let me see here. How did I do it last time? Oh yeah, now I remember. I'm gonna have to stop the screen first, and then I'm gonna start the screen. So share screen. Come on, you can do it. Exodus. Where'd it go? It's a window. Yeah, there it is. I found it. All right. So the rest of the episode continues, and the it's obvious that before, like, it didn't dawn on me at first, but it's pretty obvious that they talked about how planet Plundar is a different planet completely than Thundera, and it appears that the Thunderians had no concerns about the mutants until their planet was destroyed, because obviously their defenses were very strong. But now, as they're stuck out in space trying to escape their doomed planet, the mutants have taken the advantage to actually try and wipe them out, because they literally are destroying every single one of their ships except for the flagship. And that's when Jaga declares that they won't destroy the flagship because they want the Sword of Omens, which again makes no sense since the Sword of Omens is a secret. And that's actually again why they cut out that little scene with Tigra.
Yeah.
So then they start to get boarded by the mutants, and I start hearing words when I was a kid. Here's what was really crazy about language. When I was a kid, for the first time ever, I heard this term that I've never heard before. Pedro says at this point, once the mutants actually get on the ship and through an airlock, and then this little scene here, Pedro says something which I've never heard before. He goes, "We've been breached," and I'm like, "What the hell is breached?" You like, did you ever hear that term as a kid? Like, I had no idea what the term breached meant, right?
Yeah, that's very.
And it was one of those things. I was like, wow, they're using big words. You know, as a kid, I was like, that's a big word. I don't know what that means, right? I was so confused by that word. That word completely confused me. And then as the mutants are attacking the ship, then we see this is where we start seeing the powers of each individual Thundercat, right? And I thought this was awesome. We see Chitara is like freaking super speedy. She goes around, she takes on 3 mutants by herself, just wrapping them up. And this is where we actually see that mutants actually have archetypes, right? There are reptilians, there are simians, there's canines, and of course later on we find there are vultures, there are rats. You know what I mean? So it was really cool to see all these different factions.
Yeah.
But I always found it interesting that they have incredibly advanced technology, but they choose to fight with maces and sticks, and you know what I mean? Like that.
Yeah.
That also really got me. Whereas the Thundercats also are fighting with more barbaric weapons, but at the same time they're very enhanced by technology. Like for instance, Tigra here, he can use his whip. He can use his whip to go invisible. That
Yep.
again, just a crazy revelation in terms of the power differences, the power scale, especially this. This always freaked. I was like, and when I first saw the scene, I don't know about you, JP, but I thought his hand got impaled, right? Because look at this, look at this, look at this. He catches the freaking Morning Star in his hand.
Yeah.
What a badass! What an absolute badass! But then he proceeds to basically laugh in his face, and then tells him that you may be in trouble, and he freaking crushes the freaking mace. What? Like, oh my god, this guy was an absolute badass.
Yeah.
Voiced by Papa Huxtable himself. You know what I mean? Like how much better is that? You don't get characters like that anymore, bro. You don't get characters like Panthro anymore. This guy was an absolute badass before badasses were cool. You know what I mean? Like this guy was the one, right? And all the jackals go freaking nuts. We got Wily Kit and Wily Cat. Even though they're children, they're able to use their wits and get out of sticky situations, right?
Yeah.
It was a great scene, a wonderful opening to the episode. And then Slide, knowing the secret of Thundera, apparently encounters it with Lion-O, who I don't know what happens here exactly, but I think the sword allows him to wield it. You know what I mean? Giving him extra power, because here we see, just by sheer will alone, and then there it is, the great eyes, right? Which was a big gimmick with the LJN toys. You gotta love how toys tie into cartoons, man. But this was a great moment. This was an incredible moment where the sword literally just, comes alive and helps Lion-O to defend himself. And here we go with Lion-O. Then these two just have no idea what's happened. But just a gorgeous scene.
That's amazing, dude. That's an amazing.
Very, very much. I have the power moment, though. You know what I mean? Like this is very much, He-Man. This is a very He-Man moment right here. This is an incredible He-Man moment. But it also is the iconic, raising the sword for Thundercats Ho, which later in the episode becomes apparent. But getting right down to it, many things happen afterwards. They discover that the ship is actually damaged, and they can't reach the original galaxy that they were hoping to get to. So they have to actually, and this is another part of how the Leonard Starr and the writers here, they were actually teaching kids that in order to, like, life is not fair. You know what I mean? Like, life is not freaking fair. We wanted to go to this place, but now we got to go to this place, and it's harsher. It's harder to survive, and it's it's really small, right? And basically, they're going to Earth. Like, let's talk about that. What are your thoughts? I always believed that they ended up on Earth, like on Earth. It might not have been our Earth, but maybe it was an Earth which was just before we started our civilization. You know what I mean? Like, this is an Earth in between, the fantasy Earth, if you will,
right?
Where magic is still a thing. Because they talk, like, later on we talk about like King Arthur and stuff like that. Like, you know what I mean? There's a whole bunch of things that obviously that's just writers being writers, right? But
yeah, of course.
But this portion, I think that they actually are setting up an idea that this is an Earth of old, and that the people here were controlled by Mum-Ra. Maybe there was a power struggle, because we do see that Wiz-Ra actually fought against Mum-Ra. We see that Mum-Rana was, there's a lot of things that literally start getting built up later in the show, which was a wonderful way of doing things for this, and that there was a civilization here well before, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So I think it's actually fascinating on that. But what were your thoughts on that when you were a kid? Did you even care, or was it something that?
I mean, as a little kid, I think I would have probably identified with it as being regular Earth, like where we live. Maybe just like in earlier times. But now, as an adult, I feel like it's like Earth adjacent. Like, there was probably Earth, and Third Earth was kind of like, in the vicinity of the normal Earth. And that's why there was so many similarities. And that's why the Egyptian lore ties in, because you know how they say the Egyptians had a link with aliens. So that's probably how, Wiz-Ra is on Third Earth, because he's probably partially alien, or, the King Arthur part is a little questionable, obviously, because that's kind of.
Well, I'm wondering.
Thing.
With that though, I'm wondering if Mum-Ra actually is able to travel between time.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because Hachiman comes from a different time, right? King Arthur comes from a different time, right? And I think that's actually what Mum-Ra was able to do. He was actually able to go into different timelines, much like the way we would talk about today. We would say, multiverses, right? And just pull from those things and really get those magic beings to do his bidding, right? He brought a ninja over. He brought Hachiman over. He brought the Excalibur over. There was just all these things. But again, that's just in reality, that's just writers being writers, right? For kid stories, right? But then we find out that they cannot make it to the galaxy that they wanted, so they have to go to a nearby galaxy, but it's not enough. So they have to actually go into suspension capsules in order to make the trip. And it's decided by Jaga that everyone will enter the suspension chambers except for him, because he needs to manually pilot the ship to their destination. And this actually introduces the theme of death to children, right? Yeah. Which is something that's not very often spoke of in cartoons at the time, in the 80s. It wasn't really a very big thing. It was kind of like a faux pas kind of thing to talk about in children's programming, right? But not only did we talk about death, JP, we saw death. We literally saw death. Like I remember here, we see the sadness, we see the moments, right? And this is really where this cartoon was ahead of its time. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it really does bring to question. Look, we even see tears. Like Chitara's bawling her eyes out. She knows Jaga's gonna die, right? Like we as children start realizing this is a fate which he's not going to come back from, right? And we actually see that in real time. We see that when they enter the chamber, Jaga looks a certain way, right? But what the heck? All right, all of a sudden there it is. Okay, so we see that we said that once they enter suspension, everything is on hunky dory, right? And the Sword of Omens is there waiting. But when we see Jaga for the last time in this scene, he looks very much the same way he did throughout this episode. But by the time, and we know that time has passed, right? Like we don't know how long. Decades, probably have passed, right?
Yeah.
By the time he finally gets to Third Earth, right? I mean, here it is. And this is crazy. He's an old, like he's a frail, incredibly frail old man. Like he's on his deathbed.
Yeah.
Right? And then the very next scene, he allows it to go into autopilot, and here we see death. We actually see a metaphysical idea of what death was. Like, but this is where the Jedi type of idea comes into. You know what I mean? The Obi-Wan Kenobi type of mentor from afar, right? But I remember as a kid seeing the scene for the first time, I was literally like, "What?" It hit me hard, man.
Yeah.
It hit me hard.
And that's just the pilot, dude. You know what I mean?
It hit me hard. Yeah, right in the first freaking episode, man. Like bang, 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 bang. All these beats, all these crazy beats. It was like watching a movie. It was like watching a freaking movie, man. It was crazy. And then basically, they crash land on Third Earth, and this scene was crazy, man. You see all the I don't know how any of them survived. Like they should have been crushed by their own ship. You see the teddy bear. That was so much fun. And then the first one to wake up is Snarf. I thought that was hilarious. And you know what? It really is actually poetic in a lot of ways because Snarf has gotten them out of a lot of hairy situations. So it really was kind of poetic. But then then we see Lionel for the first time, and he's gigantic. Then we see, as you said, his clothes ripped apart. Like this was nuts. And then we hear Jaga's voice and the fact that even though suspension slows down the aging process tremendously, some aging does take place. And there we go. We see the transition between boy and man.
Yeah.
And this is the other thing about this show. It really did showcase that as a young lord, Lionel had to grow up incredibly quickly and learn the lessons of manhood pretty much on his own. He had his friends with him to teach him, but he really did not have much. Like he had three. I guess you could say he had two father figures, a mother, and two siblings, right? But the reality is, he still had to do a lot of growing up on his own, and we see a lot of that, during the show. The mutants come down, and they attack the Thundercats, who were helpless in their capsules. Snarf again. Snarf is the MacGuffin, man. Snarf is the MacGuffin. He finds everything that people need, and he makes it happen. Snarf is not a MacGuffin. He is in himself a godlike character. He helps to make things happen and push things along. He's like a guardian, a real guardian, right?
Yeah.
So the Thundercats themselves are in their capsules. They attack. Lionel decides, and this always got me. This was the true testament of someone who has no fear, right? I mean, like there's like 3 dozen mutants out there, and he's just going to town, man. He's freaking running around. He's like attacking everybody. He's doing his thing, right?
Yeah.
That's just absolute freaking like crazy. And then Snarf, who has the sword, is able to, I guess by accident, really. There it is. I guess by accident, really, he throws Lionel the sword, and again the Obi-Wan Kenobi moment, right? And this was really poignant in the entire series. He comes and just is his guardian angel. He continues to guide him from afar, very much Obi-Wan Kenobi, and then gives him, encourages him to use the sword the way he was supposed to. And then he's very much like the Green Lantern. He just knows what to say.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just the words are given to him by divine right. You know what I mean? It really is a wonderful time, and just a beautiful storytelling. In those capsules, they're Thundercats, right? It was freaking awesome. And then together, JP, let's do it one more time.
Thunder.
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 Thunder. Thunder.
Thunder. Thundercats
Ho!
Perfect timing with a cartoon and everything.
Oh
Man.
my God! Look at that. Then Thundercats, they're loose. I love that.
So
Oh my
cliche.
God! Look at these, and then they just go to town, man. They just went to town, just dismantling the remnants of the mutant army, right? Like again, the badassery that is Panthro, just freaking completely dismantling all these guys. Then they all get really scared, and obviously they retreat. They use their beaming technology to go back to the ships, and then that moment where they all realize, yeah, we're on an alien planet, right? We can't wait. How are we going to survive? And then Lionel, being Lionel, proclaims, literally has a proclamation that they will survive and build a mighty empire. You gotta love the bravado of youth. It was
Oh yeah,
crazy. It was awesome. Thundercats Exodus, guys. Wow, what a way to start off a show, JP.
amazing.
And we're gonna do a lot more of these breakdowns of episodes, guys, in the future. But what a way to start this off. I mean, like, man. But what are your thoughts in closing, JP? What Thundercats was ahead of its time. That is clearly obvious. But
Absolutely, yes.
looking at it today, is it appropriate for children for today? Like, that's that. I think that, like, just like what Sesame Street now has warning. Do you think eventually they'll put warnings on other cartoons from back in the 80s? What are your thoughts?
I mean, I don't think so because I feel like, unfortunately, the way I see things playing out is that today's youth does not gravitate towards, um, vintage animation, vintage programming, unless it's like adjacently introduced via their parents, right? So it's one of those things where I don't know if they would have to do those kind of disclaimers for that type of cartoon. Maybe for Exodus, with an exception of just Exodus, I could possibly see it happening, even though I think that's pretty ridiculous. Um, but not for the whole series as a whole. I think Thundercats was very, when it was dark, when you saw Mumra, when you had those beats with the mutants and stuff, it was dark, but there was always a positive message. There was always Lionel or the Thundercats didn't believe in killing. They always believed in forgiveness. So there was always a very, very positive message underlying every episode. So I think still today, I'd rather have my kid watch Thundercats than the garbage that is put out there nowadays.
Absolutely, 100%. Motu Comic is in the house, brother. Good to
What's up,
see you, brother.
man? Bayon in the house.
That's right. Good to see you, brother. Hitchcock, how do you guys feel about not having a next season for Thundercats 2011? Do you feel that they were going on a good direction? I was enjoying what they were bringing. JP?
I really enjoyed the cartoon. I thought it was, a different take. It was interesting. I liked how they put, they incorporated technology into it, the mech suits, all that kind of stuff. I really would have liked to have seen the continuation of the storyline. I know that they had like a vast story planned in some interviews that have been had with writers and the producers of the series. And I would have definitely loved to have seen a continuation of that. But, having so much time passed, I don't think they would revisit that. I would see probably more something along a reboot or like the live action film.
Yeah, I would really like to see it come back. And to say that they won't do it is not true. Netflix has actually picked up last seasons of series and actually
Mhm.
finished them off like decades later. We've seen that with other shows, not necessarily cartoons, but actually no, wait, I think a cartoon was picked up as for its last season.
Really? But
Yeah,
like decades later?
yeah, decades later. I'm trying to remember which one it was, but I'm gonna look it up for the next episode. But I'm pretty sure it actually has happened, and I'm hoping the same thing will happen for Thundercats. That would be excellent. Okay, so Thundercat, G.I. Joe, Cobra 6, and Delta 17. I was just more into G.I. Joe when Thundercats came out. Yeah, I totally understand. I mean, it's
That's
fine.
cool. Everybody
But
have their own cup of tea.
that fantasy aspect of it, the idea that they were refugees, and it really it spoke to me, man. It spoke to me like crazy. Mother Slug. What's really sad is today's artists and technology. Nobody can replicate the 1980s or 1990s cartoons, as it has been said by multiple artists and companies that just forgot how to do it, which is why they ended up doing X-Men '97. It's interesting. It really is. But like I said, there are actually sensibilities now, right? A lot of shows actually have to go through testing phases where they have to actually be approved by a committee before that can actually be aired. So yeah, there's a lot of things which the '80s had advantages for, if you will, in many different ways. No new lines. Best pilot, the autopilot, but no, yes, Jaga.
Best opening sequence.
Yes, absolutely. And the Jaga really did. Oh, no, pilot. Yes, best pilot episode, 100%. I actually love this breakdown format. Thank you, brother. We've been talking about this for a while. We wanted to break down episodes and talk about
Yeah, for sure.
how they affected us and what they might mean, right? Because there are deeper meanings in Thundercats than a lot of people would like to say. Greg, the timescales. What's going on, guys? If you haven't already, please subscribe to the timescales. Wonderful toy YouTuber. I'll be on the timescales this Tuesday talking about Motuniverse. So
Awesome.
hope you guys will join us. Motu Comic. So much potential, so much wealth and history still to contribute. Thundercats is somewhat underestimated as a franchise.
Absolutely. 100% agree with Miguel. And, you remember the comic that Miguel did, the Motu X Thundercats crossover?
Beautiful.
We're dying to get a second issue. Miguel and I have been having some conversations about that. So we might be collaborating to do issue 2. Yeah.
That's incredible. That's huge. Guys, definitely subscribe to Thundercats Classics on Instagram. I mean, he is literally killing it right now, having reached over 100,000 subscribers. I'm going to share that screen right now. Once again, congratulations to you, JP. What a milestone! And JP is planning on doing a giveaway and some celebrations on that line. So, guys, you have to be subscribed to Thundercats Classics if you want to be able to get some cool swag from different companies that he's trying to get in touch with. As a matter of fact, if you want to watch this video, which he actually talks about it, head over to Thundercats Classics and this video right here, and you can find out a little bit more about what he's planning. And so, yeah, once again, JP, congratulations, 103,000 followers, my friend. What a milestone, brother.
Thank you, man. No, like I said, again, it's really all about, because the way I see it is, there's people that have Instagram accounts or like entertainers and stuff like that. I don't do any of that. All I do is just share a wealth of information, news, posts, and my own stuff regarding Thundercats as often and as much as possible, just spreading the love for the IP. Like Miguel just said, and I agree with him 100%. Thundercats is just a franchise that has been underappreciated for so long, and it's amazing to see how much growth, how much legs Thundercats IP has grown in the last, I would say, decade, with the inclusion of Matty Collector launching the first wave, then Super 7 following up, then we got Iron Studios doing statues, we've had Mezco mega 14-inch figures, we have mini mates, we've had so much awesome Thundercat stuff, and who knows what else could come, because the one thing that I haven't seen, Jay, and I'm kind of surprised, is that no third-party company has tackled Thundercats yet, man. And I know that I heard rumors, I want to say like a year ago or something, where there was rumors that SH Figure Arts was going to do Thundercats, and I would really love to see someone come in from overseas and tackle this IP, and just give us a different look, a different feel, a different approach to a toy line for Thundercats. Because as of right now, we're loving what Super 7's doing. They've really explored so many characters that we would have never had imagined to have as toys, right? We get this beautiful Cat Slayer dude the Thunder Tank version 1 and version 2. Toy iterations of Thundercats. So many characters that we never thought would have had an action figure made out of them, and still, the prop replicas, the Trick or Treat Studios sword. There is still so much more to explore, though. So that's pretty much what it comes down to with this Instagram, is just making it known and sharing with everybody that Thundercats is a force to be reckoned with, and we demand more representation in film and media. Let's get a new cartoon going with Netflix. Let's get a new movie. Let's get a video game. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, let's really put Thundercats in the limelight like it deserves, man.
Absolutely, 100%. And guys, please subscribe to Thundercats Classic on Instagram. He's hit 103,000 followers, and he does all the latest and greatest news, reviews, and information about Thundercats today. Take a look at some of the cool things that he's doing with Claudus and, of course, Young Lino. These things are sick. Huge shout out to JP for joining me tonight. It's been an absolute pleasure. And guys, JP and I are working on hard, very, very hard on Motuniverse, the Master Universe centric convention that will be happening at the Torrance Marriott, Redondo Beach, California, May 23rd to the 24th. That's Memorial Day weekend, 2026. We are really, really excited about this, guys. Please head over to motuniversecon.com. You can sign up for the mailing list and, of course, support us on our Kickstarter. This is great. Just checking on the Kickstarter right now, and I do believe that we have actually. Oh wow, we actually have increased our count. We went from 816, and now we're at $816 dollars in pledges. That is freaking incredible, JP. Holy crap! It just continues to climb. And with your support, guys, we can get even more events, even more guests, even more, wonderful activities for He-Man and Master Universe. But not just He-Man. We're also planning on a lot of Thundercats events, and we are really excited about this. So, guys, please help us to continue towards our final goal, our final stretch goal of $25,000 to really make this the best Master Universe convention and Thundercats convention that will that's going to be happening in 2025. We are 2026. We are really excited, guys.
Right around the corner, man.
100%. As a matter of fact, there's a number of ways which you can support us. You can pick up the Founders Set, which allows you to pick up a VIP badge and lanyard. It also gives you a commemorative coin, which is gigantic. It's a 50 millimeter coin. It's huge. It actually is made of real metal.
Nice.
So it's a beautiful coin. Recognizing founding members as in thanks and support and recognition of their support for the Motuniverse. Founding members certificate, thanking and recognizing the efforts and for supporting Motuniverse in so much to help us get to our goal. It also has the founding members T-shirt and founding members pin. You can wear this around the convention center proudly, letting everybody know that you were a founding member of Motuniverse 2026. There are also other ways to support us. We have several different items, like you can pick up the Motuniverse pin, which is only $10. This is a wonderful pin which depicts the Motuniverse logo. Now the fans have the power. You can pick up a Motuniverse mug, which the artwork is not finalized. We're probably going to actually get JP to help us out with some really cool artwork because we love JP's work, and we're hoping to get that up on the final site when it's ready to go. But you can enjoy a cup of joe while you're talking about Thundercats and Masters Universe. We do have new T-shirts, which you can pick up. They'll be available on the Kickstarter right now. And you can even pick up a VIP package, which is a little bit different from the Founders package. This package is actually discounted. Regular VIP badges will be $100 when next year. After the Kickstarter. This is a Kickstarter only exclusive price of $60. You are saving literally $40 by picking up your VIP badge early. So what do you get with this badge? It's a VIP convention exclusive allowing for the VIP badge and lanyard, 1 hour early access to the floor on Saturday, early access to all the events, priority access meet and greet and signings and featured attractions, access to after-hours programming, and the exclusive Motuniverse pin, which we saw above. Guys, thank you so much for all the support. We have reached, thanks to everyone's efforts, we have reached $10,816 in pledges. You guys are absolutely amazing. Let's try to hit our goal of $25,000 by the end of the campaign. We still have 26 days to go. It's absolutely amazing. And I did just want to mention really quickly some of our guests who will be at the show. We've already secured Tim Sheridan, who has worked on Master Universe Revelation and Revolution. He's for Transformers War for Cybertron. He's also a writer on Star Trek Lower Decks, as well as other wonderful cartoon series, including Superman, the Man of Tomorrow. We also have wonderful guests, including Tony Washington, who's done incredible artwork for Master of the Universe, both in comic books and on wonderful murals. We have Joshua Skye, who's literally writing the lore of Master Universe in mini-comic format, as well as heavy metal comics. And we are very, very excited to welcome concept designer and illustrator William Stout, who literally designed all the costumes for Master Universe, the movie, the only movie up until 2026. So, guys, we have all these wonderful guests who we are welcoming to Master Universe 2026. And as soon as this campaign is over, we're going to start looking into guests for Thundercats. Who knows? Maybe we'll be able to get Larry Kenney, the voice of Lion-O, the Lord of the Thundercats, invited to Motuniverse 2026. You never know, JP. You just never know. Guys, thank you so much for being here. It's been an absolute pleasure. JP, what are you working on, brother, and how can people reach you, my friend?
Working on a lot of stuff, man. Just keeping those creative gears rolling. As always, Thundercats_classics. And, my main page where it all started, Toy Addict 26. I've also got From the Realm. That is a current horror-based IP Kickstarter action figure line that my buddy Carlos, the Badass Reviews, Eric Sosa, and Sebastian Dominguez are working on. We are planning on having some really cool prototypes on display at Legions Con coming up in just a few weeks in New Jersey. So if you're joining us there, come by and say hi, and we'll have some really cool stuff, some new stuff to share with you guys. Also working on stuff for Motuniverse, working on stuff with Bull Airs, working on a lot of stuff, man. Just super excited to just keep being creative within this world, and yeah, just staying busy, man.
I'm excited, brother. Thank you so much, guys. Don't forget, follow JP on his Instagram page. They just hit 103,000 subscribers, Thundercats Classics. Give him a like and a follow. Tell him that the Thundercats Lair sent you. And guys, also, please continue to support us on Motuniverse on Kickstarter. Help us to reach our goal of $25,000 because we want to celebrate Master Universe and Thundercats in California in 2026. It's going to be an absolute blast. You guys are the best.
Hell yeah.
Thank you guys so much for being here. It's been an absolute pleasure. We are the Thundercats Lair, everybody, and we will see you next time. Here we go, JP, one more time. Thundercats. Ho! Good night, everybody. Take care.
Good night, everybody. Have an awesome week.